Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of PixlFeed Radio, and I'm here with my friend Alyson Lex. Alyson, how you doing today?
I am so good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, staying warm in Florida while everybody's freezing.
Right.
That's horrible, I shouldn't say that. My parents are in Texas, so yeah, they're having it pretty rough right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, Alyson here, man, I'm excited to talk to you today. She's actually been writing direct response sales copy for over 13 years. At one point, one of your projects, you had an 82% opt-in rate. I want to talk about that because I don't think that's my highest. I think it's been like, I want to say it's like, it was in the 20s. I can't remember the exact number, but it was in the 20s for cold traffic.
Yeah.
Plain cold traffic. This wasn't warm. So that's pretty good for cold traffic in my book, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were the director of marketing for Glazer Kennedy, an insider. Glazer Kennedy, Dan Kennedy. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have all his books. He's one of the OGs, one of my heroes. So we're going to talk about that too. I'm so glad. At one point, people thought he was dead. I was like, he's not dead, dude. He's really sick, but he's good now.
He made it.
Back. He's back full force.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited about that. I mean, Dan Kennedy, he's the OG, man. There wouldn't be Russell Brunson without Dan Kennedy. So
that's right.
So yeah, we can talk about that too. But yeah, before we get into the whole copywriting, this is going to be a good one and all that good stuff and old school marketing. Let's talk about your background. Were you always an entrepreneur? And you're the co-host of a podcast too. I don't want to forget to mention that. The System to Thrive podcast. You're a co-host there. So make sure you guys check that out at some point. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit about your background. So how did it all start for you? I mean, obviously I have a little glimpse right here, but I'd rather hear it from you.
I fell into it. I was not always an entrepreneur. And in fact, growing up, I thought I just didn't have the head for business. And when I was in college, I was an education major. I wanted to teach. I wanted to teach high school English. So I was a double major in education and English. I had a minor in creative writing. And I accidentally took a class that was a continuing ed class. So it was full of teachers instead of the degree class, which was full of wannabe teachers.
Right.
I got into that class and it was me and like 15 teachers who all had tenure and all of that. And nobody in that room was happy. They weren't happy and I couldn't do it to myself. So that was my last semester as an education major. I switched my major to psychology. So I was now psych and English and a minor in creative writing, which if there's a copywriting degree, I feel like those are the three things to put together to get it. But I still didn't know what I wanted to do. My whole life I'd wanted to teach. So I had a little bit of we'll call it a quarter life crisis maybe because I was in my early 20s.
I've had many, so I get it.
Right? We've all had them.
Mine right now, it's, I was just joking about this the other day. Okay, I'm in Florida and I lived by the beach for over 10 years. So it's like I wear sandals daily, and I work from home. So, and for some reason, this past year, don't ask me why, but I've been on a shoe kick. I just been buying shoes. It makes no sense because we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not going anywhere to risk getting sick unless I absolutely, like, once in a while I'll go to a restaurant, but don't ask me why. My wife's like, what's up with all these shoes showing up at the door? I'm like, I don't know. I just see them. I get emails and I see them and I just buy them. So now I don't have the excuse to give her crap about the closet filled with her shoes because now it's my shoes that's filling up the closet. So that's my midlife crisis right now at 40. We'll see what it evolves. I always thought it was going to be sports cars, but I already went through that one. So yeah, I guess not. But yeah, we all go through them. So go ahead.
So mine took me to Craigslist before it got sleazy. And I answered a job ad for an administrative assistant for this marketing company in Towson, Maryland. I didn't know anything about it, but I liked it. I knew I was good at admin office work. That's what I'd always done as my part-time thing, that and working at a bar. So I knew I was good and I got the job. And that's where I learned that I was going to be helping the then director of marketing kind of manage the marketing for this guy named Dan Kennedy.
Oh my God, that is insane. That is so crazy.
So I had no idea who they were. I kind of thought my first week there, I was like, I think I might be working for like a scammy kind of company because I didn't understand that whole world.
Right.
And then fast forward a few months later, I decided I'd started just soaking up all of that information that I had available. I had the entire library of GKIZ products at my disposal, plus Bill Glazer's personal stash of info products. So I
Oh
just
my
was
God.
soaking up so much information.
That's like worth out of millions.
And
I
they
mean,
paid me to be there.
yeah,
Like,
that's,
right.
but you know what? You did it the smart way because you realized like, holy shit, I'm sitting on gold. Like,
And it wasn't even really that. I was just so interested in it. I've always been a learner. So then I decided, hey, I want to try this sales copy thing. I want to try writing a sales letter. So I wrote a sales letter on my own time for Glazer Kennedy to promote, I think, the Info Summit. And I was super shy. I showed it to my boss at the time. She showed it to Bill. Bill lovingly tore it apart, but helped me make it better. And
I love that.
he freaking mailed it. Like,
He
we nailed
did?
it.
That's amazing.
And so that was my very first sales letter, and it made $8,000 in about 3 days to like a 200 person list. And
That's awesome.
I was hooked. I was hooked completely on this whole idea that I could use words. Remember, creative writing minor, I could use words that
To make
not
money.
just entertain people, but make freaking money.
Right.
How much fun is that? So, of course, now that we've figured out that I have some copy chops, I went and learned more, started writing more. I wrote a lot for Glazer Kennedy over the next 3 years. And so I left the company in 2010. I started in 2007. And when I left in 2010, I was the director of marketing. So I went from admin assistant to marketing director in 3 years.
That is amazing. I tell people on here all the time, and if you go through my YouTube videos, like even the e-commerce stuff, everything, like I sound like a broken record by now because this one's still in me from day one when I was learning marketing. The money's on the list. The money's on the list. The money's on the list. And I never,
follow up. Mm-hmm.
It took me like a good, I want to say a good year and a half, maybe 2, to really realize how much money was on the list because I got spoiled with Facebook ads right off the bat. So I was making, tons of cash with Facebook ads.
Of course.
But then when I'm like, okay, I should really send emails out. I should.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, oh my God, this is why Phil kept like beating me over the head, telling me the money was on the list. It's like, it's your personal ATM if you know what you're doing and you have a good product.
I mean, if you really build the relationship with the list the right way, build the list of the right people. So, a generic list of just people is not going to be.
Well, people, I've actually gotten DMs, so people getting mad at me that I call it my personal ATM. Like, that's messed up that you're calling your clients your personal ATM. I'm like, dude, I've given them something that they want.
Right.
And I get messages how much they love it, or, products that they want. It's not like I'm saying, give me your money for no reason. Like, I'm not forcing you. I'm servicing my clients by being like, hey man, I got this. Do you want it?
Well,
yeah, sure. What?
If you think about it, an ATM is just a function of a bank account you already have.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're just withdrawing from the relationship banking balance that you've spent time building. So the next time somebody gives you a hard time, just say that.
Oh, no, I don't care. I mean, listen,
bank account.
I treat my customers and my clients like they're my everything because, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I enjoy getting those messages from people, whether they're clients from my physical products in stores or, people that I've done, coaching with and all that stuff. Like when I get those messages, I get them now from YouTube. Like, oh my God, your video helped me make X amount of money. Thank you so much. Blah. I'm like, I love it. Like that literally makes my day when I get those emails. And then I get the haters too, but I don't care about the haters.
Well, everybody's going to have haters. I mean, Dan Kennedy, you think he didn't have haters? Doesn't have haters?
Oh, I can only imagine.
If you're not pissing people off, you're not taking enough of a stand.
Right. I think my first dip. Okay, well, let me really tell you the story. So my first taste of sales funnels and copywriting, like long sales copy, was definitely through Russell when I was learning, when I read his book .com Secrets. That's when I was like really like expanding my knowledge besides just running traffic with ads because I wanted to do other things. And then of course, like the way that I work is like, okay, if I learn this from him, he must have learned from somebody else. And then I went deep down the rabbit hole, and he talks about it in his books. It's not like he hides it. I mean, Dan Kennedy wrote a foreword for Traffic Secrets. So I went down the Dan Kennedy rabbit hole. I went to what's her name? Lee Milter?
Miltier?
Yeah. Her rabbit hole.
She's
Gary
awesome.
Harbert.
Yeah.
Gary Harbert. I read like so many of his letters. Ogilvy. I can't even pronounce his name.
Ogilvy, yep.
Ogilvy, yes. Ogilvy. And then I love Frank Kern. Like Kern, I follow, like he's just hilarious. Like I love his style. But I mean, and then I started getting all of Dan Kennedy's book. And one of my favorites is the long sales letter. It's called the long sales letter. That's like one of my favorites for sure. But
I like the ultimate sales letter and the
say the ultimate songs, not the ultimate, yeah.
Ultimate marketing plan, I think is the name of it. Yeah, the ultimate mark. I'm sorry, I was looking at my books.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, which one is what's the name? I've read so many of them.
I have my special GKIC shelf. So it has Dan's books. I think it has one of Lee's books.
Yeah.
It has Bill's outrageous advertising books, and all of that. So, you know, we hear a lot about Dan Kennedy, and who we don't hear a lot about is Bill Glazer. And really the two of them, because Bill had some, and still does have some amazing insight on grabbing the attention, which is always a problem, right? You know this from even just running Facebook ads. Like, how do you stand out on that feed?
Right.
Grabbing attention in different ways. I love direct mail. I will always love direct mail. I think yesterday in my mailbox, I think I got 4 envelopes.
I got something to show you, actually. It's sitting on my desk because I made sure to save it.
I think I got like 4 envelopes.
Yeah, I'm going to cover my address because for obvious reasons.
With 800 emails.
Can you see that?
Yes, see?
It's from Dan Kennedy, yeah.
It's
a long sales letter.
It's a sales letter.
You can't really see it, but I'm trying to.
You got to plan.
For but it has like what he talks about. He puts the stamp on the bottom, and then when you open it,
right? It's secret mission.
Yeah, secret mission. It's all caveat out.
Fast implementation boot camp.
Yeah.
So
I keep all of them. You know.
Yep.
So.
I have a filing cabinet. So I'm super old school in a lot of ways. I'm getting ready to get rid of my landline. I'm cutting the cord, but I have a
still have a landline?
I do.
That's crazy.
It's a triple play with my TV and internet. I was like, whatever, I'll just use it. Now it's been on silent for 18 months. I
funny.
Think my voicemail is like, I don't answer this phone. But I have a 4-drawer filing cabinet that is my swipe file. And if I get interesting mail, packages, anything, it goes organized into my swipe file. And then I also pay for Evernote Premium. And I clip pages. And so if I ever need anything, I'm like, oh, let me look at events. And I've got physical and I also have digital. But I save, my husband knows, do not throw away mail.
Oh, yeah. Same here. She doesn't throw away the mail until I go through it. And then I have a whole hard drive full of just screenshots, swipe notes from funnels, from emails, like.
Evernote, dude. Evernote it, and you can free up room on that hard drive, and it won't.
I know.
Crash.
I probably should do that now that I think about it. But
and you can forward emails into it. It's awesome.
I mean, that's what I used to hate copywriting. Like just writing an email used to drive me insane. I'm like, I don't want to write it. Like I am for personal stuff, like one sentence type of person, you know, like so. You know, people in corporate world try to like drag everything out like on emails. I'm just like straight to the point and that's it. And some people take it the wrong way because I'm just literally straight to the point. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just, that's just the way that I communicate. And I think, so that was my hardest thing when I was learning copywriting is how to like, it's a skill. It's a skill of like, okay, how am I going to hook them? How am I going to tell the story? How am I going to point out the pain? How am I going to point out that solution to that pain, cover the benefits. And then it's when you build a swipe file, which I didn't do, forever when I was first learning, it's Legos. It's like, okay, let me see whatever it's got. And it's like, oh, I like that one. So the best way I can describe to people when you're using a swipe file, think like you're in the 80s or 70s before technology, and you had to sit there and clip paragraphs out of letters and just glue them all together. That's exactly what I'm doing when I'm building a funnel, and just rewriting it my way.
Exactly. And one of the things that, and I actually just did a live about this in my Facebook group. One of the really good skills to have is to understand how to make a template out of what somebody else has done. So you might have a headline that is awesome and you can't really just replace words and still get the same impact. But, and this is my English nerd roots, understanding like the parts of speech that they're using.
Yeah.
Okay. So like here they're using a noun. Great. Here they're going to use an active present verb, or here's a passive thing, or here is this. Understanding and breaking it down in that way is going to help you then mimic it when you write it, when you rewrite it for yourself. So it might be, attention entrepreneurs discover how to quickly write a headline that converts, which I don't know, I just made up. But now it's like, okay, we're calling attention. Great. Then we've got our noun entrepreneurs. I'm going to swap that out with single moms. Discover is good, which I'll get to that one in a second. How to, right here we have an adverb, quickly. I'm going to swap that out with easily, right? So you see how by understanding those parts of speech, if you will, you can swap out the same idea of words and get a headline that's completely your own using the format that you've seen someone else successfully use.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a little bit of an advanced ninja trick on creating your swipe file, because eventually you're going to create your own. Like, how cool is it to eventually have a swipe file of stuff you, like I do, of stuff you wrote?
Yeah.
Like, I've got the swipe file of stuff Alyson sees, but then I also have the swipe file of stuff Alyson wrote. And so then...
Do unfinished funnels count that I'm just sitting on my Clickfunnels account? I literally have funnels just sitting there. Like, I build them and then I never launch them. They just sit there because shiny object syndrome just went a different way one of those days.
Well, it's funny. I actually have a funnel. I think I just archived it. It's called the Follow-Up Fortune Email Mastery video training system, because you were like, oh, the money's in the list and the fortune's in the follow-up, which is my whole thing.
I like that.
And it was cool videos, but I didn't have it right. But I like that name. I think I'm going to go back to it.
I like that too. Make sure you listen to this again and then
I know I might need to just take a note on it. Right. Like, so, but that's kind of like my swipe file. Like, hey, I wrote that. I can reuse that. Understanding how to really break down the components of what you see, I think, is really at the core of this whole funnel hacking thing, because we don't want to just copy people.
No.
They've done the research on their audience. They've got their product. They've even got their personality, because not everybody's going to approach things the same way as you do.
And people will know, like, when people know you, like, now that people know me from videos and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not like a huge celebrity or anything, but like, so people know, like, the people that follow me know me and they know how I talk. They know how I speak. And if I try to put a funnel out there that was written by somebody else, and listen, I do have copywriters. Like, I don't write everything. I don't have the time. I really don't, but I'm still involved. Like, I want to see it. This is what I want. Boom, 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 boom. And then I read it. I see it. I say, okay, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's move it. But they know me so well that they know how I talk. They know how I speak.
Exactly.
Like, if somebody else just threw some copy, I'm like, people that know me know that's not me. That's not how I talk, So this is what I tell people: do not ever just copy something that's out there. One, that's not cool. Two, it's not going to work for you because everybody's different. And three, like, make it your own. Like, make it your own,
And so as a copywriter, my job is to mimic you as closely as possible.
Right.
I just delivered copy for a client the other day, and she did not have voice or brand style changes, like, I got her. And that was really one of the only 100% that I get on the first go round, because this is my first draft.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm always expecting feedback on, I don't use this word, or feels this way. I didn't have any of that, it was a red letter day for me. But the more you work with someone, the better they know you. And then it's like they're writing as you.
Yeah.
Which is always what you're looking for when you hire a copywriter, but also when you are your own copywriter. So many times people, even if you're writing blank page, blinking cursor, they over formalize, they over edit, they just edit themselves right out of their copy. And then it sounds like everything else that's out there.
When I do it myself, I have to walk away, because I'll do exactly that. I'll over edit everything. And I'm like, okay, is that supposed to be a period here? It's supposed to be a comma there? And I'm a grammar Nazi. So it's like, it drives me insane. Talking about that, since you said you're an English major,
I never graduated college, by the way. I started.
You didn't? That's all right. You're still a major. Listen, I have a double PhD in marketing, and I'll challenge anyone to challenge me on that has a marketing major from college, because I already had a few people try to do that on me. And I fucking showed them up. That's a whole different for another episode. But listen, the knowledge is, just because you have a bachelor's degree doesn't mean you know your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you stop learning. Anyway, besides that, but my wife is she's an attorney, and the one thing that drives her nuts when she sees like me writing copy or like, hey, can you read this for me? Because she's like my, that wouldn't work on me. I'm like, I don't care if it would work on you. I just want you to read it. And she's like, why do you have to use that? Why do you have to use caps on every word? I'm like, it's a marketing thing. Like, you just don't pay attention to that. I'm like, just read it. And she's like, why? Because it grabs your attention. It's like, why is there bold words in the middle? I'm like, because it's meant to be that way. So for you, how do you fight that mentally? Because, I see it. I'm like, I know that's not the right way to do it if you were writing a normal paper, but in marketing, it drives people nuts. It cracks me up when people see it. Like, I've had clients call me out. I'm like, trust me, we'll test it both ways and see which one does better. And sure enough, the caps always win.
It was a really hard habit to break at first.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of my 3 years at GKIC was spent breaking my grammar habits. Although I proofread everything that went out. So every product, every newsletter, every sales page, everything passed my eyes. It was crazy. So much reading. But nowadays, you talk about how you over edit yourself. I very rarely edit anything.
I love that you're laughing about it because that means it's true.
It's so true. I don't think I've ever told anybody that, but I now obviously client stuff, I go back and I edit that. But when it's my stuff, I'm just like, here's my email, blah, 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 fast typing. And it just gets sent. And because I've built my business writing as I speak.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough that I speak well. So I write well because I write as I speak. Breaking a lot of those grammar habits, getting to be okay with dangling participles and, all of those, pardon me, things, preposition at the end of a sentence and all of that. Every once in a while, it comes up. I'm like, man, I really can't end this sentence in the word in. But I'm going to anyway.
Yeah. Every time that I'm writing, I just remember this lady. One, you got to remember, well, you probably know this because you hear my accent. Like, English is not my first language. I didn't learn English until I was a teenager, one.
Right.
But there was this teacher or professor, whatever you want to call her, in college, my first year of college. I'll never forget her, man. Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson was from Georgia, and she was hardcore, Southern, like, I'm telling you, man, you did not want to piss off Miss Jackson. And I was a rebel in school, like my teenage years in college. I could get away with, I didn't care. But when I walked into Miss Jackson's room, dude, it was Miss Jackson's room, and I could not raise hell. And she used to not beat me with like physically, but like every little grammar mistake. And I hated her. I hated her. And guess what? By the time we were done with that first year of English 1 or whatever it was, guess who I picked for English 2 the next year? Miss Jackson, because I actually learned from her, man. And, when I'm writing, I'm like, oh, man, if Miss Jackson sees this, she'll be so pissed.
Mr. Taylor, 11th grade English for me.
Yeah.
Very picky. And I would get into arguments with him all the time. And it was a good time. But you got to break that habit. And so one of the things that I tell people is if you really struggle writing it, speak it, record it, and transcribe it. Otter.ai is free. It's not perfect. It's not, you're going to have to edit it. Speak it out and get it out, and then you can go back and make it look the way you want.
You can do it in Google Docs too. I do it all the time. I just start rambling on, and then I just edit the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, and so I like a lot of the like voice to text programs. You have to actually add in the periods and the commas and stuff as you're speaking. And to me, that breaks my flow. So I just record it and transcribe it, because then I can just ramble and I deal with it after the fact. Plus, sometimes watching it hit the screen as you're talking can get you self-conscious.
That's true.
Right? I want to get you out of your head. If writing copy is a hard thing for you, it's because you're in your head. So get out of your head. Just if you have to have your best friend on a Zoom call and you record that Zoom call and just start selling them on something, then record that, then transcribe that recording. Do what you have to do to get out of your head, because That's how good copy happens.
I've actually had friends, like I've gotten friends on the phone and be like, hey dude, I need to write about this. So just interview me. Just ask me questions. Like people who don't know marketing. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll answer the questions, record the whole thing, go back, listen to it, and then turn it into the article or whatever it was that I was writing. Yeah, it
because
works.
you're out of your head.
Yeah, for sure.
And whatever it is that you sell, you are the expert in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the copy expert. I'm not the home construction expert. I'm not the SEO expert. I'm not the XYZ expert, right? It doesn't matter. You are. So you know what results you provide for your people. You know what difference you make in the lives of your customers. You know the benefits of your product or your service. You know that stuff. So like, just lean on that, stand in your expertise, and write your damn copy with your voice if you have to.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit about, how do you approach the structure and how do you put it on paper? Like, and I mean, you work with Glazer. I don't know if you were in the same room with Dan Kennedy, but I'm just curious to see, what the approach that you learn is. So for example, like, you sit down, you're like, all right, I got to write a copy for this funnel. Like I got to come up with a bait, hook, pain solution to the pain, benefits, social proof, scarcity, CTA. Like we know that's the structure, but what is your approach? Like when you sit down and you have the funnel or whatever in front of you, like how do you approach the research? How do you start putting it together? Obviously we went over the swipe files, but is there go-to headlines that you go to? How do you structure the whole thing together?
Yeah. So the research is always the step one, and nobody wants to hear that because it's not sexy. It's not sexy to do the research. I have been doing this for long enough that some of the research is already done because I tend to write. I mean, there's only so many different types of people in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've spoken to a lot of them already. However, understanding your audience it really happens on 4 levels. All right. So the first level is the demographics, and this is where most people stop. All right. How old are they? Where do they live? And are they married? What gender or gender identity, whatever. That's where a lot of people stop because that's where ad targeting really kind of lives, right? And they think, oh, I help women in their 40s solve XYZ problem, but that's not enough. Even location, I want to know more details about that location, right? They live in the US. Where? Do they live East Coast, West Coast? 2 different attitudes. Do they live north, south? 2 different climates. Do they live city or suburbs and I struggle with this word because of my Baltimore accent, rural, right? Like the boonies.
Yes.
Right? Because those are 3 different life experiences. Do they live in an apartment or a house with a yard? That's 3 different days or 2 different types of right? So even one thing like location has all of these different possibilities.
Oh, I can tell you right now. I mean, Florida. Okay. I went to school in Tallahassee. That's North Florida.
Right.
I can tell you right now that South Florida, it's very different from North Florida.
Exactly.
2 completely different demographics and types of people.
I'm in a smaller state, Maryland. We have mountains, we have beach, we have city, we have politics, we have bay,
Yeah.
we have farm, and that's all. It's 6 hours end to end on our state. It's not a long drive. So that's a lot of different stuff to cover just in one question, in one level.
Right.
Go deeper than you think you need to go. So the second thing you need to know is about them socially. These are the things you would know if you were their friend on Facebook. Do they have a dog? Where do they go on the weekend? What are their hobbies? What books do they like to read? What movies have they watched? This helps you build that connection with them and also use those things in your copy. If you happen to know that the majority of your audience is huge comic book fans, well, maybe you go ahead and talk about, I just watched this on TV, but the whole Avengers Endgame movie, right? You can reference that and build that connection and solidify that connection. The third thing that you need to know is their relationship to you. Are you speaking to cold traffic? Are you speaking to warm traffic? Earlier, we talked about your conversion rate on cold traffic. It would have been very different on warm. Are they warm as in their leads? Are they buyers? Have they signed up? Do they refer? Do they repeat buy? Are they high ticket or low ticket? There are all kinds of questions that you need to know about your specific audience and how they're relating to you. The fourth thing is the copy gold, the psychological factors. And so this is where we really start to put on our empathy hat, ask the questions like, what are they afraid of? What are they hopeful for? What are they worried about? What keeps them up at night? What stresses them out? What makes them have panic attacks? What are they dreaming about? What are they daydreaming about, right? Like, what pisses them off? What gets them excited? What are their values? What kind of personality do they have? What adjectives would they use to describe themselves? And ultimately, we want to ask, what problem do they have that they're willing to pay someone, hopefully you, to solve for them? And what impact does that problem have on their day-to-day life? If we don't understand all of those questions that I just rattled off really, really fast, then your copy is not going to convert as well as it could. I'm not going to say it's not going to convert at all, because that would be silly, but it's not going to convert as well as it could. And it's not sexy. It's not exciting. I think it's a lot of fun, but that's because I'm a big data research nerd.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, even with ads, the best performing ads are going to be the ones where you sell a product around the interest that you can actually target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I can target pit bulls, I'm going to find a product about pit bulls. It's like,
exactly. But not even just that. Like, okay, are you selling to pit bull lovers, pit bull owners, pit bull rescues?
Yep.
Because they all have, and even in pit bull owners, did you know there are 3 types of pet owners?
I did not know that.
You have your pet owner, right? They see their pet as property. You have your pet lover, who still sees their pet as property, but treats them really freaking well. And then you have your pet parent, who sees the pet as a complete member of the family and would do any and everything for that animal.
Absolutely, 100%. I've done my share of pet products, but I never broke it down like that. And that makes sense because I've seen it. Yeah.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So again, that one little thing, that one demographic that I just mentioned, how much further can I break it down? And really getting super duper duper.
I'm getting pumped up because all you have to do is do 3 different ads targeted to 3 different people for the same product. And it's 3 different angles, and you can scale it to the moon and back.
Exactly. But if you didn't know that, if you didn't say, hey, I'm going to break it down to these 3 different targets, right? Avatar, which I hate that word because it's overused.
I use it all the time.
I know. I just hate it. I don't know. It's one of those things that just makes you, like, a lot of people don't like the word moist. I don't really have a problem with that. My husband thinks I do, but that's and or X12 at least. But the word avatar just makes me ugh. Anyway, but if you didn't know that you had these 3 different profiles and you just wrote one generic ad to, pit bull owners, it might just miss the mark enough on all 3 that it doesn't convert the way you want, or doesn't convert as well as it could. You could probably very well convert. Are you going to convert as well as you can if you break it down even further?
But see, I agree 100%. 150%, 300%. But let's face it, pets is pretty easy to come up with different angles. But what do you do when it's like a generic product, like I don't know, jewelry? Let's just say jewelry, like random jewelry, a necklace. Like necklace has no personality. It's not a dog necklace or a bracelet or earrings. Just they're gold. That's it. They're pretty. How would you break that down? Is it a real gem or a fake? Jewelry or real jewelry? Well, it's real, but they're not jewels or whatever. Let's just say, they're just regular jewelry. Huh? What?
It's real gold.
Yeah, it's real gold, but it's not like diamonds or anything like that. Just like, just pretty jewelry that you see on, I don't know, on the street. Okay. You put me on the spot because I just threw jewelry out there just to throw something. Okay, but see, even there, all right. So let's look at jewelry. There are different types of jewelry. There's heirloom jewelry. In this video, I'm wearing a necklace that's literally made out of one of my grandmother's rings. It's an heirloom piece. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if you have heirloom jewelry that belongs to someone else that is being sold, it's called estate jewelry. Okay. And that
is basically, hey, this is really great vintage quality that you can own now for your family. Okay, so there we've got heirloom / estate jewelry. Now we have genuine, which is your diamonds, your rubies, precious or semi-precious gems, and gold or white gold platinum. Okay, so that's your luxury type jewelry. That's going to have its own thing, right? Now we come to it with, do you want to create an heirloom for your family? I was actually just getting this necklace repaired just a few weeks ago, and I found a ring in the jewelry store that I'm going to buy. It's a goal, I set a goal for myself, and once I meet it, I'll buy it for myself. It's brand new, but it's a semi-precious stone. It's an opal, and it will be an heirloom in my family because it's real and expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So you come to it that way. We're creating an heirloom. Now, obviously, bridal jewelry is different than any other jewelry, okay? But you also have to think about who's buying the jewelry. Are women buying it for themselves, or are men buying it for their women, or are women buying it for their men, or, keeping in mind women buying it for their women partners, men buying it for their men partners, all of that, right? So who's buying it for who? Is a daughter purchasing it for her mother? All of those things matter as to how you frame it, right? If I was going to buy my mom some jewelry for Mother's Day, and then I saw an ad that was like, she did a lot for you, show her how much you appreciate it, bam, here's some jewelry. Maybe I would check that out because I happen to have a good relationship with my mother. Maybe I don't have a great relationship with my mother and I want to phone it in, right?
Better moderate those comments in that ad.
But in just 3 minutes, I've given you how many ad variants for one piece of jewelry.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the kind of detail that you need to think about. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's where most people drop the ball. Like, and when I tell them all the time, like, we need to come up with dream avatars. You hate that word, but quote unquote dream clients. Your profile, different angles that you can target. And you can speak to directly. And a lot of people a lot of you probably listening or watching this, you throw an ad up there and expect it to make you millions. And that's why it doesn't do it, because you're not speaking directly to those different types of buyers.
Absolutely. So if you think you have it, okay, ask, how can I split this up more? In the coaching world, in life coaching or business coaching, there's that whole 7 steps of why. And we do that. I do that a lot too in my copy. Like, they want X. Why? Because they want to get XYZ benefit. Why? Because they want this. Why? Be a 4-year-old asking why. It drives you crazy.
That's what I was going to say. Be a kid. Why?
Over and over and over again, because you're going to find out, reasons that you may never have thought of. Like, why does Alyson want to buy her mother a really expensive diamond necklace for Mother's Day?
Yeah.
Well, because she loves her, right? And she wants her to have nice things. Why? Well, because we didn't XYZ. Why? Because she blah, blah, blah. Why? And you're going to come down to the fact that Alyson feels guilty. She doesn't FaceTime enough during the pandemic, and she wants to make it up to her by buying her pretty shiny things.
I love it.
What is the reason that you're going to come up with? And that's where your copy gold is. And so now if I saw an ad that was like, you didn't FaceTime your mom enough this year, show her how much she really means. That would hit me in all the fields.
Oh, man, I got a guilt trip. I talk to my parents all the time. I love it.
But and to be fair, my mom FaceTimes, but it's really just to talk to my kids. So
same here. Every night.
Oh, I don't exist anymore.
I have my first one who's a year and a half. So it's like, to see him, not me. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, man, anybody who's watching this or listening, Alyson has dropped so much gold. I know this stuff, and I'm still like pumped up about it because I love how she's breaking it down. Let's talk about that. Can you talk about that funnel with the 82% opt-in rate? Can you say like what niche it was, or anything about it? I'm really curious to see how you did that.
82.5% opt-in rate was for a live virtual summit held by a business coach who helps. I'm going to try and get specific without being confusing. He helps coaches, but not business coaches, like tennis coaches or golf coaches improve their business. Okay, so we were having a virtual event. The traffic was a mix of warm and cold. It was incredibly niched in. That's a really
niche down. Yeah.
niched in, niched down, whatever we want to call it. It was really like super specific. We were really able to call out a lot of the problems that they were having because this particular business coach had that insight as a former tennis coach. And the traffic that we drove was really good. So as much as I like to take 100% credit for all of the wins, I can't.
Yeah.
It was really good traffic. That being said, I do typically average on a mix of warm and cold between a 40 and 60% opt-in on warm and cold, mixed traffic. If it's hot traffic, I actually just on one of my own funnels had some hot traffic running, like 3 weeks ago and got a 92%.
That's insane.
It was stupid.
That is stupid insane. I've never seen it that high.
For the ego, but
yeah,
it's hot traffic. There was, it's not anything that I could probably replicate ever again, but I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about just for normal people who are learning or they're trying, they're launching their first funnel or, they're trying to sell something. Let's talk about like average opt-in rates and conversion rates for a funnel, depending on your sales letter. What do you think are the numbers people shoot for? Like if you're not getting anything close to like, let's say, I don't know, 10%, you need to redo your copy or you need to test out a new headline. The way I do it, I don't know how you do it and we can go through it, but always one variable at a time. So the first thing I start with is a split test of both with different headlines. That's it. Everything else is the same. Whichever one wins, I keep that one. And then I try another headline. And then if I cannot get that headline as high as I can, I'll keep going with the headline until I cannot get it higher. And then I'll move to the next step. What is your process like? And what are your numbers like? What are your numbers that people should shoot for when launching a funnel for the first time to cold traffic?
So if you're launching for the first time to cold traffic and you're really learning the ropes, shoot for 10. If you know some ropes, shoot for 20.
Yeah.
You want to, for cold traffic, I personally am not really satisfied with anything under 20%.
Okay.
Because that's tons of room for improvement.
Actually,
right?
I'll take that back. I usually say 16%, but I usually get over 20. But my goal has always been, I don't know, I don't even know where I heard 16. I heard it years ago somewhere, and that was the number that I stuck to always. But yeah.
Well, and it's going to vary from industry to industry. So Wordstream actually always publishes every year their benchmarks report. And that's something really important to have. So
who does this?
Wordstream.
Okay. All right.
Google it. They have a Google benchmarks and they have Facebook benchmarks. So you can see, my phone just woke up. I'm sorry. Because I said the G word, but
I didn't hear it.
If you look that up, it's going to show you that, B2B has a different benchmark rate than pets or home services or things like that. So it'll just give you general industries, and that's a really good place to start. What I like to do, funnily enough, is 2 completely different pages because I want to see if I need to go long form. So I've been more into the long form landing page lately for lead collection because it gives, a little bit more information about the download and a little bit of a bio because it builds that credibility and trust, especially with colder traffic. And then I do like the super short headline button, right? And I want to just see which one is going to perform better. And then I can tweak from there. No matter what you're doing on the funnel side, it's really important to do what I call conversion checkpoints. So each opportunity for an action is a conversion checkpoint. Add view to add click. Click to landing page to opt-in to upsell, right? Whatever, every single spot. And by knowing your numbers at each of those places, you're able to then find the breakdown. If your funnel's not working, it's not necessarily that your whole funnel isn't working. It could be that just one piece kind of sucks. For example, I had a consult. I ended up not telling her not to hire me because she didn't need me. All right. She said, I'm not getting enough sales based on the traffic that I'm sending. Cool. Let's look at your checkpoints. We found out that she was actually converting really, really well on the sales page. It's that not enough people were getting there because her landing page needed work. She was sending a ton of traffic. They were dropping off at the landing page, and the few that made it through were converting to the sale. But if all she's looking at are traffic and sales numbers, she's not seeing that breakdown. And she was going to hire me to rewrite a sales page that was working. Why would I change that?
So how are you checking that breakdown when you're looking at it?
Those stats can happen anywhere, right? And you may have to kind of mush them together. Luckily, she was working in Clickfunnels and I had her screen share with me so I could see the opt-in rate. As soon as I saw the opt-in rate, I knew that the landing page was the problem.
Right.
So I was able to take a look at her ad or what she was using to promote, because she was using a mix of organic and paid traffic. I was able to see what she was doing to promote it, as well as her ads, take a look at the landing page, see that they didn't necessarily match very well, that the messaging was off, and that there were some key parts of her landing page that could have been improved, like the headline, the call to action wasn't above the fold, that kind of thing. Once those things could be improved, her opt-in rate went up and her sales rate went up.
And for those that are watching and listening, another thing that I like to use, and I'm sure you do it too, it's like I like to use like something like Hotjar, where I can create a heat map of the whole funnel and record everyone, because you'll be able to see how far they're scrolling down and where they're tapping on their phone or like on the mouse. And you can see it's like, okay, people are not reading after this point, so I need to change this paragraph to keep them hooked. So that's how I personally do it. I mean, I
remember one time a client was using a heat mapping tool. I think it might have been Hotjar. And they couldn't figure out why this one page wasn't converting. And it turned out everybody kept trying to click on this one picture.
I've done it. Yeah.
That looked like a button or whatever. When they couldn't click on it, they bounced.
Yep. It's happened to me. People try to, I'm like, why is everybody clicking on it? It's not a button, it's a picture. And
all you got to do is make it a button and your conversion rate will skyrocket.
Yeah. So it's little things like that.
Little things. But if you're just getting started, look at your conversion checkpoints. How are your ads doing? What kind of clicks are you getting? Check the clicks from Facebook, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you're better at ads than I am. But, Facebook checks clicks based on like if they click to see read more or they do something else. So how are those clicks measuring up with clicks to your website? So if you're using Clickfunnels, we want to see the unique numbers.
Yeah, you can see like that. You can break it down by like CTR all, CTR outbound,
break it down. You want to see how many people are heading to the landing page, how many people are signing up, how many people are hitting this.
Because people get confused because they're looking at link clicks, and a link click could be anything, a link click anywhere on the ad. But if you do outbound link click, that means they left Facebook to go to the page, and that's when you compare the numbers.
So get the right data.
Yeah.
See how we clarified that. Get the right data in the right order and see where, if you've got a great click-through rate on Facebook and a great conversion rate. The other thing is, and this happens with emails, right? So they'll say, oh, you had a 2% click rate based on the number of emails you sent. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. It tells me I sent 1,000 emails and 2% of that 1,000 clicked, but how many people opened it? Right?
Yeah.
So you really want to look at the numbers as they relate to one another.
Absolutely.
It does not help to know how many links, how many people you sent to a landing page versus how many people bought if you don't know all the numbers in between.
Yes. That you need to know all those numbers. So, oh my God, we're almost out of time. I didn't realize it's been an hour. Holy crap.
We've been having so much fun.
I know. I can talk about this all day, but so for people that want to work with you, what is that process like? So let's say, hey, Alyson, I need help. I need a funnel. I need a freaking sales letter for my funnel. What is that process like? Walk me through it, what that process is like, so people know.
It's really easy. I have a page, alysonlex.com/call-me, and you go there, you fill out the little form, and it'll take you to my calendar, and you schedule a time to talk. During that time, I'll talk about your project, what you're looking for, how I can maybe help you. We'll brainstorm a little bit. And then I will tell you what that looks like to work with me. I do charge per project. I'm not the most expensive. I'm not Dan Kennedy expensive, but I'm not.
Yeah, I know how much Dan Kennedy charges, because
I don't charge as much as Dan Kennedy, but I'm not the cheapest copywriter.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
My prices do have a comma in them. And we if it's a fit, we move forward. If it's not, we don't. I'm not a high pressure kind of sales girl. Like I want to
You let the
genuinely,
copy do the work.
you know, I'm really good at what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm self-aware enough to know that I have an ego enough to say that. And I'm good at what I do. I'm not the right fit for everyone, but for the people that I am the right fit for, it's a really good relationship. I love to work with people that I like. I love to write for things that I can really get behind and believe in. And if we're a fit, we'll work together. Not a
That's
big deal.
awesome. And then you also have the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook group. It's Conversion Strategies for Coaches and Experts.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's just what it sounds like. So it's really for course creators, experts, coaches, that kind of thing, focused solely on conversion. So there's a lot out there about audience building and visibility and social, just social media and content creation and branding. No, man, let's just talk about conversion. Let's talk about turning that audience into a lead, turning that lead into a buyer, getting that buyer to buy again, getting them up the ascension ladder. Like that's my jam.
Ascension ladder. That's all Dan Kennedy right there.
Oh,
That's his term for it.
value ladder, offer ladder. No, dude.
Yeah.
Ascension ladder.
All right. Before we go, because I have to cut this off soon, but
Yeah.
like literally almost now. Did you get to work in the same room with Dan Kennedy at all?
I did not get to work in the same room. He was in a different city. However, he did write the word good on the top of one of my sales pages once.
Dude, I hope you have that frame in your office
I
somewhere.
don't, and it's one of the big regrets of my life.
Well, the next question was going to be like, if you did work with him in the same room or whatever, like what's the one thing that stuck that you learned from him from watching, or just something he said to you? That I was just wondering if there was one.
The one thing, Dan let his reputation precede him. He was much quieter and stoic in person than he was on the stage. And so what that taught me is that it's okay to be almost a little bit of a caricature of yourself for
I love the drawings of him, by the way. I think they're hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Like with the big mustache and all that. I think they're hilarious.
But for those that are watching, like, you can probably see a lot of cat stuff in the background. I am a crazy cat lady. I have 8 cats. I'm not as obsessed with cats as my background would probably lead you to believe. Of marketing of, hey, who's that crazy cat lady copywriter? People begin to know you from that. People know Dan is the grumpy no BS dude.
You know what? That's funny that you bring that up, because my mentor, his name is John Loger, and we worked together for years, and we're still friends. Even though like we're not like one-on-one like we used to be, because I don't need it anymore. But he actually had a meeting with Dan Kennedy, and we had access to it as his group, and it was pretty awesome. Like, just to see Dan Kennedy being Dan Kennedy, just chilling and not putting up the whole seminar like on stage, and it was pretty dope. Like, it was really cool. So yeah. I got a little glimpse of the bunker, or whatever it is that he calls it. So
he really does not carry a cell phone. He really does not use email.
Yes, he told us about it, like the fax machine. Everything's through fax machine, and it's like mail. Like, it's crazy. I think it's hilarious.
At an event because he does not carry one.
That's awesome. I love that. I love like when people just sit in their ways, like, I don't care.
And No BS Time Management talks about the reason behind all of that. It's a really great read.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad that I got to meet you guys, and I got the pleasure to have you on, and especially since you work with Dan and all those people, and I'm a big fan of all that stuff, and share your stuff. So for those of you that need help with copy for your funnels, please check out Alyson's website. Links are going to be in the description. What's the link again? What's the website address again?
So AlysonLex.com. That's ALYSONLEX.com/call me.
And then also check out the podcast, The System to Thrive, where she's a co-host. And then Alyson, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. It sucks that we're out of time already, but that went by fast, and that was great. And please come back. I want to have you back on.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, thanks.